PTA Legislative Forum for the Shawnee Mission Northwest High School area, the service area that Shawnee Mission Northwest covers, Trail Ridge Middle School. I'm Devin Wilson. I'm with Shawnee Mission Area Council of PTAs, and I help coordinate part of this. We have Sarah Crafton with Benninghoven PTA, and Kathy Bigelow, also with Benninghoven PTA, who are instrumental in putting this together. And appreciate all of you showing up, and we have a very large panel of people that will be running in primary elections, general elections. So August 2nd is the first election coming up, in November elections. So look for them on the ballots. This is an opportunity for you to hear a little bit about them. We're not going to go into great depths of their backgrounds on all the issues, but at least you can get a sense on where they are on some of the education issues, other issues that PTAs and schools are very concerned with. And I'll turn it over to our moderator from KCUR, Kyle Palmer. Thank you.
It's so nice to see so many people gathered for a reason other than Pokemon Go. But you guys should be commended for coming out early on a Saturday morning to participate in the democratic process. As it were, we have 12 candidates representing 6 different local races. And the format of this will be very simple. We will give them a chance to introduce themselves to you, their names, why they're running, some background about them so you can get to know them. Since there are 12 of them, that will take a little bit of time. We'll get 2 minutes each to do that. And then since this is not a debate per se, but more of a forum, then we will pose randomly selected questions for each candidate to respond to. Most of these questions, of course, pertaining to education issues. I'm glad I don't supervise lunch in this cafeteria because these pillars create a real line of sight issue, but hi over there. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and give the candidates a chance to introduce themselves. We'll just go down the line from left to right as you look at them, and I'll hand the microphone off to the first table here.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Eric Jenkins. I'm currently city councilman in the city of Shawnee, but to give you a little bit of background, I started out as a soldier. I went to ROTC, graduated in 1970 during the Vietnam era, and didn't wind up getting deployed to Vietnam. I wound up over in Korea instead. There wasn't any shooting going on over there at the time. And continued my military career for a while, and then there was a reduction in force after Vietnam, and a lot of captains went out the door. And I was one of those captains that went out the door and converted over to the Army Reserve. And I stayed and retired from the Army Reserve as a full colonel in the year 2000. In the meantime, I went to work for FEMA, did that real job. So I went to work for FEMA for 30 years, responded to a lot of natural disasters, ran a lot of natural disaster responses, presidential disaster declarations. I managed a number of programs, managed the National Flood Insurance Program for the four-state area, and the National Earthquake Hazard Reduction Act, National Dam Safety Act, and a lot of grants program for state emergency management agencies and so on. Did a lot of work with FEMA that gave me some pretty in-depth background. During much of that time, I served with the Shawnee Planning Commission. I was with the Shawnee Planning Commission for over 20 years. They also asked me to be part of the Johnson County Charter Commission, where they reviewed the charter every 10 years for Johnson County to determine if there's anything that can be done with that. And I served on that board as well. I started out with the process, really the first thing I ever did was work on the Shawnee Mission Northwest Board Advisory Board to the Board of Education. So I did that for a while before I went up to the Planning Commission. Educationally, I have a Bachelor of Arts and a Master of Arts, and I'm also a graduate of the United States Army War College, which a lot of people think is at Leavenworth, but that's not true. The Army War College is in Carlisle Barracks, which is a much higher level than the one at Fort Leavenworth. I went back on active duty because I was asked if I would return to active duty in the year 2005 and served, made 3 deployments to Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan. That was kind of interesting, being 57 years old, retiring again at 61. And I got to see a first-hand view of what was really going on over there. And I'm happy to meet with all of you today. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Mill Creek and Benninghoven PTAs and the Shawnee Missionary Council PTA for hosting this event. I'm Linda Gallagher, and I represent District 23 in the House of Representatives. I was first elected in 2014. My district includes parts of Shawnee, Lenexa, and Overland Park, and runs from 71st Street to 95th Street and Flum to Schweitzer. And I can't help but notice that I'm the only incumbent legislator here today. does concern me that my legislative colleagues who represent the Northwest area did not make it a priority to attend this forum. I ran for the seat 2 years ago because I was frustrated with actions the legislature has taken in recent years and with the extremists who control the Republican Party and the legislature. After 2 sessions in Topeka, I am still frustrated, but I have a real sense of purpose as I work to restore common sense in the legislature. Public education is one of my top issues. I am a Northwest mom, well, a former Northwest mom, but once a Northwest mom, always a Northwest mom. I volunteered extensively in the PTAs at Shawana Elementary School and Trail Ridge Middle School, and here at Northwest in the PTSA and various booster clubs. My 2 daughters are grown now, but they had an excellent education in Shawnee Mission schools, and I want to pay that forward for others. So my support for public education has been consistent. As a member of the Children and Seniors Committee and the Social Services Budget Committee in the legislature, I am concerned about our most vulnerable Kansas citizens, the elderly, the children, the disabled, and the mentally ill. I am working to preserve and protect these safety net programs and, of course, education. Thank you.
Good morning, and my name is Vicki, and I'd like to thank the PTA also for hosting this event today. I am running in Senate District 10 against a woman named Mary Pilcher-Cook. Many candidates will take time today to tell you about their race and why they are running. For some of us, saying our opponent's name out loud is simply enough. After thousands of doors that I've knocked on, I can tell you that when the first words come out of my mouth that I'm running against, the most common response I receive is thank you. You know, there's a reason for that. In the last few years, my opponent has conducted an ultrasound in a Senate committee. She has campaigned to make teaching sex education a crime with a jail sentence. She has argued for the removal of birth control from college campuses. She's campaigned against Medicaid expansion, and she has failed to support public education. Recently, our legislature voted to fund our schools to keep them open. The vote was 38-1 in the Senate. Mary Pilcher-Cook was the only senator to vote no. Simply put, my opponent is not a Republican. She is a radical. Years ago on The Daily Show, she was called one of America's worst legislators. I am running a vigorous campaign because our district needs a representative who is less fixated on certain issues and more focused on fixing Kansas. I know that we've made our sales tax too high, which punishes retailers, workers, and families. We gave some Kansans an exemption, no income tax at all, while the rest of us are punished. We need good, reasonable leadership. I'm campaigning hard in this election because I'm tired of living in a Johnson County district that is mocked because of our legislator. I'm here ready to talk, to take your questions, to talk with you, to earn your support, and ask you to help me change Topeka.
I'm Versola, and I'm running to serve the 23rd District, currently represented by Linda. I am here, or Representative Gallagher. I'm here today because this is my passion. This is important to me. Serving people is what I do. I am an organizer. I bring people together, and I take on the hardest issues. And I don't give up. So I'm asking you to let me do that for you today. To begin with, we are facing an economic crisis that came about after the 2012 legislature recklessly passed a horrendous tax structure. And that economic crisis has led us to our state to a place of moral crisis. In that moral crisis, we have underfunded schools. We have social services being cut. We are borrowing continuously from the bank of KDOT, so to speak. We are doing things that are not reflective of a responsible or even humane government at times. I think we need to bring back fighters into the legislature. We need to bring back balance. And I'm asking you to vote for me this November. I don't have a primary this August, but come November, I'd like your support because I will fight for you in Topeka.
I'm actually going to stand up because it's a little bit easier. My name is Tom Cox, and I'm running for House District 17 against current incumbent Brett Hildabrand in the Republican primary on August 2nd. I wish my opponent would have taken the time to show up here and talk to you with. I don't know how many of you have met him. I imagine very few. But I actually went to Shawnee Mission Northwest. This is, oddly enough, the second time I've given a political speech here. The first one was for student government. So a little less exciting and a little more terrifying. I went to Ryan Benninghoven right across the street. I was just talking about with some people about how I remember when they put the first expansion on over there. I was in kindergarten, and now they're getting ready to build a second one, or just an entirely new building. My mom actually was the PTA president over there growing up. She was a full-time mom. And I don't use the term stay-at-home mom because she was a full-time mom. She wasn't staying at home very much. She was in our school almost every day helping us. She was at our events. She was engaged in every aspect. I mean, she made it a 100-hour-a-week job, which I could not be more thankful for. I know how powerful public education is because I consider myself a product of it. I went to Benninghoven, Trail Ridge, and Northwest, and then I went on to KU for undergrad and grad school. My entire academic career is public schools in Kansas. And so I want to make sure that we are fighting to protect them, that we are funding them, and that we are supporting them. And then I do support that we need to make sure we are being efficient and smart with our money, but that means the best investment we can make in our state is in our children, in our education system. And sadly, we are not having that right now. We are not having that debate. We're not even having a real conversation about what it takes to adequately fund schools. It's fund them more or don't fund them seems to be the conversation. And we're not looking at how do we make them as good as they can possibly be. Because I don't support adequate funding, I support the best funding we can possibly do for our schools so that we have the best community and the best state. So I appreciate you guys taking your time to be here today, and thank you so much.
And also, thank you for getting it, that your mom was a full-time mom, and she supports you, and so thank you. Good morning, and thank you to the Shawnee Mission Northwest Area PTA for putting this on, and for each of you for coming out this morning, and for being engaged in your community. I am Dinah Sykes, and I'm running for Kansas Senate to restore common sense to Topeka, which means better schools, real tax form, and more local control. I've knocked on over 7,000 doors, and I hear a lot of stories from people, and they are unsatisfied. They are looking for someone who will listen to them, focus on their needs, and be an advocate for public education. We are being told that the sun is shining in Kansas, and we know this isn't the case. A vote for me is a vote to restore common sense to Topeka. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Kerner. I'm running as Libertarian for Senate 21. The first thing I'm going to say is you're not going to see me on the primary ballot. That's only for Democrats and Republicans, but you will see me on the general election ballot. I've lived in Kansas for 19 years, and it seems we're continuously doing this. We're always fighting over school funding and taxes, more or less. No one's ever happy. One district always feels they're being shorted by another district. It's endless. I am going to propose something a lot different than anyone else is saying, a real paradigm shift. Decentralize. Instead of collecting the money at the state level through taxes and then figuring out how to distribute it among all the districts, we wipe that out. We wipe out the state income tax. We wipe out the state's obligation to fund education. Probably be able to take a couple of points off the sales tax. And then the districts themselves can figure out how much they want to spend independently of all the other districts on using local real estate taxes and sales taxes. So you do not have to say, well, there's no local budget option. It's all local budget option, 100% local budget option is what I'm proposing. And decentralized, so there's no fighting over a pile of money up there. They're out of it. Right? Beyond that, I'm worked for the same company for 49 years as an engineer. I'm counting down the days to retirement right now. August 31st is the date. And I'll be able to do full-time campaigning during the general election campaign. I have 3 children, all grown, 4 grandchildren, the first of which is about to enter kindergarten. I'm scared for him, but we'll see how it works. Okay? All right, thank you very much.
How many of you know the show Fixer Upper on HGTV? A few out there. So it's a show basically about you buy a old house and you fix it up and you sell it or you keep it. That's kind of what I think our home state of Kansas is at right now. We're in the fixer-upper stage. Our previous owners were some responsible family that took care of the home. But then in 2010, the Brownback Republicans took office and the house, our home, fell into disrepair. And so I don't think it's hopeless by any means. I hear a lot of doom and gloom about our tax system and our public education. We have a lot of problems to fix. We also have a lot of hope for the future, and that's the kind of candidate that I want to be. I want to prioritize our public schools. I think they ought to be the best in the entire nation. I think we need to restore fiscal responsibility to Topeka so we're not paying off credit cards with credit cards and racking up Washington, D.C. style debt. And I think we need to prioritize opportunity for all. But I think we also need to unleash the potential that Kansas has when it comes to our schools. When people think of Kansas, they shouldn't think of a backward state or a boring state or a flyover state or the Wizard of Oz. They ought to think that our state has the best public education in the entire nation. They ought to think that we're an innovative state, that we're a forward-thinking state. That's the kind of state that the history books will tell you about. They'll tell you that we elected the first woman to elected office in the entire nation. So my name is Logan Heley. I'm running for the Kansas Senate District 21, which is the entire city of Lenexa, and then downtown Overland Park, west of Metcalf, 71st to 91st. I'm running as a Democrat, which I don't know how that floats your boat, but I'm fiscally responsible. I'm pro-public education. I got into this race because my brother taught the last 4 years in KCK. He had 40 to 45 7th graders in his classes this past year. And he's one of the many teachers that's moving out of the state of Kansas to keep teaching, but not with the attacks coming from the Brownback Republicans. So thank you very much. LoganHeley.com.
Woody Allen says that 80% of success is showing up. My name is Helen Stoll, and I'm running for state representative because Governor Brownback with Representative Hildabrand have thrown Kansas into chaos with a failed experiment. We're out of money and borrowing heavily. They had the chance to correct course, but instead they're choosing to race off the edge of a cliff without turning or braking. We have a laundry list of underfunded obligations, and our K-12 public schools were forced to sue to ensure that Kansas kids have access to quality education. For a generation, our public schools have been the magnet for businesses and stable property values, but the current legislature is throwing that away. So what should we do? We must balance our representation. Powerful interest groups have stacked the Kansas legislature with people who cannot admit that they've made a mistake. Sending people like me to represent you provides a safeguard against dangerous extremist policy. We need to throw out the current tax scheme that isn't working and restore the prior plan that worked well. And we reduce our sales tax and eliminate the sales tax on food that is highest in the nation. We need to take that tax to zero because everyone eats and we should have tax relief that benefits all Kansans. So what happens if we act now? We'll give our children schools that help them reach their full potential. We'll restore school nurses, foreign language, technology, and music programs that have been cut. Class sizes are reduced and we stop losing our great teachers to other states. Businesses thrive with an educated workforce, transportation network, and great quality of life. And you and I can go back to relying on our state government to do its job without having to sit here in a meeting, wondering and worrying about what ridiculous idea is coming down the road next. Only you have the power to restore balance and reason to Kansas. Thank you for being informed voters and for showing up. I care about getting our state back on track, and if you will please vote for me, Helen Stoll, I will show up and work my hardest for you.
Roberts. I'm privileged to serve on the State Board of Education. I'm completing my first term. I've been on the board 3.5 years. I'd like one more term to get done those things that I would like to do before I retire to a classroom. So I spent last year teaching at the Kickapoo Nation School in Brown County, about 15 miles from Nebraska. I tell people I go where I'm needed, and hopefully it's not just talk, that I actually go where I'm needed. I don't know if I'll have a classroom this fall. I'm licensed to teach secondary math, physics, and earth and space science. I'll go where I'm needed. If I don't get a classroom, I will continue to be a private tutor in Johnson County, which is not a bad way to get through life. Now, one of my agenda items is to stop labeling kids by race. It's a big bite. It's a huge bite. We have to push back against the feds to do that. But in a very short amount of time, I want to tell you how I want to try to sell this idea. We have this poorly performing school over here. Low math scores, low reading scores, been that way for years. Low SES is what we call it, low socioeconomic status. A lot of folks move in and out of the neighborhood. Folks don't own homes, they're renters, and even short-term renters at that. And there's a lot of churn in the faculty. Teachers don't stay very long. The average principal only stays about 18 months. You know we have schools like this. Free reduced lunch rate, 94%. What are we going to do about it? Oh, there's one more thing I failed to mention. This school, this hardscrabble school that's in trouble year after year, and election cycle after election cycle, it's 59% African American and 28% Latino. Why do we even bother with that statistic? We shouldn't. In Kansas, we have a rich tradition of getting over on race. It was Brown v. Board in 1954 that led the nation to undo the crime of separate but equal. It's time to take another bite. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank the Benning, Hogan, and Mill Creek PTAs for holding this forum. I am running for the 18th District House for 3 major reasons: to protect our schools, secure fiscal responsibility, and to protect our seniors and their quality of life issues. As a 20-year member of the Shawnee Mission School Board, 13-year member of the Advisory Board, and past president of the Kansas Association of School Boards, I am deeply passionate for education for our children and their future, and our future. Our economic development in Kansas is based on great schools. The quality of our education system is what brings business to Kansas. Being able to provide a quality workforce, whether it be through a college degree or technical training, is essential for the future of our state. The importance of highly qualified teachers can't go without addressing the needs for mentoring, staff development, and salaries that are competitive in our area. More and more of our teachers are leaving Kansas due to the instability we have with our retirement program papers and the budget crisis due to a failed experiment by our governor and many current legislators. My goals for the next legislative session are to address the quality and equity of a new school finance formula that provides for the needs of all Kansas children. We must work collaboratively to ensure that all districts are provided with the tools they need to operate effectively. We must keep in mind the diversities of all districts and reach common grounds on a new finance formula. We need to work with transparency in the legislature, not just a chosen few. The plan must be sustainable so districts can plan for the future. As August 2nd quickly approaches, I ask that you call 10 people and get them out to vote. Vote for Cindy Neighbor, District 18. My information is on the outside table. Join me, walk with me, vote for me. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Cindric, and I'm running for the State Board of Education in District 2. I worked more than 30 years as a school psychologist in Johnson County schools and currently work as an advocate for children and families with developmental disabilities who need a voice in the school or community to help them live independently. Kansas lost approximately 3,000 teachers in 2015. So what does that mean for our children and grandchildren? Schools across Kansas are unable to retain or recruit high-quality teachers because the pool of licensed candidates has shrunk dramatically. Hiring unlicensed teachers is a short-term solution to a problem that will take years to remedy. Great teachers use the proven principles of learning and teaching to stimulate student achievement. There's no quick fix to the teacher shortage, but I would love to be part of trying to find solutions. There is no greater investment our state can make than in early childhood opportunities for all children. Research strongly supports well-funded and implemented early childhood programs. Children with access to them have been shown to learn better and succeed as adults more often than those who did not. I will work hard to support these programs. Our Kansas College and Career Ready standards are currently under revision by qualified groups of people, including teachers, business leaders, and community members. Our kids have always had the benefit of strong standards to prepare them for life after high school, but the board is seeking input from the community to define skills students need. Imagine with me we have everybody at the table working together for success of our students. I decided to run for the State Board of Ed because I feel that with my background and experience, I bring a unique skill set and voice to this seat. I've always been proud to be an educator, and I would like to bring respect back to a profession that should never have lost it. Teachers make all other professions possible. I will represent your values, and I ask for your support and vote on November 8th. Thank you.
So those are the candidates who are present. I would also like to say that Michael Czerniewski, who is running as a Democrat in Senate District 21, messaged ahead and said he could not be here, so he has written a statement, and I will read word for word that statement from Mr. Czerniewski now. I apologize for not being able to attend today's forum. I had prior commitments to attend to. My name is Michael Czerniewski, and I am a candidate for the Kansas Senate in the 21st District, which contains all of Lenexa and part of Overland Park, going from 71st Street to 91st Street, and half west to the city limit where it meets with Lenexa. I am running because our state is in deep economic trouble and new leadership is desperately needed. How deep of economic trouble, you may ask? Deep enough for the state to unconstitutionally underfund K-12 public education throughout the state. What is the solution? I don't have all of the answers, as this is a complex topic, but I am open to discussion on the topic. I am the product of public education, having graduated from Shawnee Mission West High School and earned degrees from Johnson County Community College and the University of Missouri, Kansas City. I've lived and worked in what is now the 21st Senate District my whole life and want to do right by its citizens. I am asking for your vote in the Democratic primary on August 2nd. If you have any questions or comments for me, you can reach me on my campaign Facebook page, which is, get ready, facebook.com/ski, S-K-I, as in skiing down the hill, for the number, Kansas Senate 21. Okay. All right, next we'll move on to asking each of the participants in the forum a pre-selected, predetermined question. We're going to do this very scientifically. We have questions in this bag that I'm going to select. I'll actually do it in front of you so that you know this is not rigged in any way. We will, in fact, do this by race. So instead of going down just the line, we'll do, we'll start with like Senate District 10, Senate District 21, so we'll be hopping around, but just so you can hear answers from candidates who all participated in the same race, back to back. Does that make sense? After that, we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions of the candidates yourselves via index card, which you can send up here at that time. So we will start with Senate District 10. That will be Ms. Hiatt. As she noted, her incumbent opponent is not here, so this question will be for her, and she'll answer this. All right, here's the question for Ms. Hiatt. How should the legislature and/or State Board of Education help to recruit and retain highly qualified teachers and leaders? How should Kansas deal with the teacher shortage? And what are the pros and cons of hiring non-licensed teachers?
Thank you. First of all, I will state that I am opposed to hiring non-licensed teachers. I know there's a shortage of qualified teachers, but mostly that's because of our state's leadership refusing to respect the work of good educators. And they've been cutting salaries, cutting resources, and attacking our professional union and communicating to the public that anyone can walk into a classroom and teach. That's what is exactly, I think, being communicated by hiring non-licensed teachers. We should address the problem of recruiting and retaining teachers by returning Kansas to higher ranking in our teacher salaries, by reinstating teachers' due process rights, and encouraging young Kansans to enter this field of education by offering tuition incentives to go to Kansas colleges and universities. It's going to be a tough problem to solve, but we can do that if we work together.
We'll move on to Senate District 21. There are 3 candidates here present for that, so we'll start with Logan Heley. The question: as a legislator, how would you go about determining whether Kansas public schools are efficient? Do you believe our K-12 schools are wasteful and have too many administrators?
Well, first of all, there have been a number of studies that have shown that Kansas schools are operating efficiently. So I think that is an excuse that the Brownback Republicans like to use to cut funding for public education. When I go into a school and I see that we've got 4 counselors at a high school for 2,000 students, and these are the people that are trying to get our students to college, to a career after they graduate, or just to graduation, I think we're operating pretty dang efficiently, but not necessarily effectively. And so I think when we keep talking about being more efficient and efficient and efficient, I think what they really want is we want more cuts and cuts and cuts. I think we need to look at efficiency and effectiveness and make sure there's a balance between the two. And so I think that's working with community leaders, working with parents, working with administrators, working with teachers and the support staff that we have in our schools, working with students, as well as our leaders in Topeka and the local school boards to figure out what schools need and what serves them the best in terms of effectiveness. Because I think we've been prioritizing efficiency way too much. And if we're looking to have the best, most excellent schools, we need to be looking at effectiveness and not just efficiency. So no, I don't think that schools are being run inefficiently. I think if you look at their ending balances, they're often having to make cuts and often at the expense of support for our students. So I think we need to fully fund our schools and make sure that they're getting all of the resources that they need to help our students succeed.
Right, the next question will be for Michael Kerner in this race. What impact has the 2012 income tax policy had on public education in Kansas, and should Kansas continue